Disclaimer: the following episode of This Week in Gaming has interviews from some members of a college esports team. The college esports team aforementioned is not associated with this show or the team behind it at this current time. The following members did so of their own will and their choices. With that out of the way, let's get into the episode. Alright, hello everyone, gamers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Dev, aka Coalescence Gamer, and today we've got another week just for you. We're another week into gaming, and this week we have some more interesting developments from across several scenes this time, and with some suggestions from around the team, friends, and the community, we've got some more news from the world of gaming. Starting off to another huge one. We got word last week that a live-action movie was in the works for the Nintendo game series The Legend of Zelda, which, in case you didn't remember, Nintendo wants money, and the Mario movie printed a lot of money for them. So naturally, they're going 2 for 2, possibly. The news isn't as recent as a week, but we wanted to at least wait until we had more information about this before this week's episode. So what we know is that someone in Nintendo has been discussing this movie for actually 10 years. To quote what somebody said, the largest hurdle when producing such a movie like this is making the one that doesn't disappoint the entirely large fan base. Which makes sense, as they took their time when they announced the Super Mario movie, and, well, the studio they partnered with blew that one out the park, so we are ready to see what happens there. Who knows? There's only talks right now, but something can happen soon. Moving on to another huge one. Recently, we announced that GTA 6 was going to have a trailer released in December. Well, also recently, we got rumors that that same trailer leaked on the internet. Yes, I didn't believe it because the sources that admitted this came from satirical news accounts over on Twitter or on other social media, until somebody inside of 343 Studios, of all companies, had admitted that somebody inside Rockstar was a little self-centered and said some things, released some things that may or may not have been permitted, and everyone assumed this to be the GTA 6 trailer. Now, of course, the lawyers for Take-Two and other people have managed to wipe all traces of this matter, but as far as we're concerned, when the official release for this trailer happens later in December, I will cover it right here on the show. But before we jump into the esports scene, we have a somewhat of a game review. Last week, when I recorded this episode, we were about a day off from the worldwide release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Now that the games have had a week of being out, I'm going to honestly cook it a bit, because all the news is hating it and the reviews are as well, so jump on the bandwagon, but with some critique. Recently, Modern Letdown 3 was released, because Modern Warfare 3 launched with the shortest campaign ever of 5.5 hours if you stretched it out as much as you can, a multiplayer scene that is reusing most of the content from the previous year's Modern Warfare installation, and a confusing unlock system for anything new, and a zombies experience that was kinda broken. I don't mean to be hard on it, but it has the points. Some of the key points I want to point out is that the campaign of the game did follow the events that happened after Modern Warfare 2. Okay, that's not bad, but it also kind of relied on you to know any of the post-campaign content via the seasons and extra activities in-game. The problem is, nobody did that. I'm not even going to touch the multiplayer because just like the beta, it's broken. Enough said. And zombies is probably the biggest mess of them all. It's got a confusing storyline, the quests are broken, and the world and engine is even more broken because sometimes players have just outright fallen out of the map and died. Yep, that's it. Now, I do note the script had a large, and I mean like we're talking almost a whole page of information on Modern Warfare 3 that I have refused to note. You know, it's probably why the script team told me to give up on this one. But until then, we're waiting for more, which probably isn't going to happen until December when the new Warzone 2.0 map releases for Call of Duty. Until then, let's move on to the esports scene for the week. This week is a lot less news. It's been quiet since last week for some reason, most games. Until then, but We have some interviews from the Tarleton State University esports members, and as the disclaimer did note, this was done of their own will. We have no current. This show has no affiliation current as of the time I'm recording this, the time of scripting this, and that's all I have to say on the matter at this point. We'll get to those interviews soon, though. But first, let's start with the news. For those who follow Valorant, the game has been doing stable. There's been nothing wrong with the latest agent. The gameplay is smooth. But the news state, Riot Games has announced that their social impact fund will donate $4.5 million in US dollars to one of 84 select nonprofit organizations, but only if you vote by November 30th, 15 days from the time of this video. Check out the Riot Games website, or if you check the Twitter page at Valorant. And now, I will let the editor take it away, as we realize there's something supposed to be here, and the editor forgot to do the thing. Yep, okay, thank you. That's all we have for Valorant. We did want an interview for this segment, but unfortunately time did not permit, so now we're going to move on to the next segment. Moving on to Overwatch. Recently they announced on their Twitter page that they're doing a custom PC giveaway at Play Overwatch on Twitter. But now it's time for the news that we've been waiting for. Now, at the time of recording this and scripting this, this was done after the interviews, so the interviews are going to be slightly dated. I'm looking at my notes on my second monitor, and it says script was rewritten after the interviews because I had to fix some stuff. But oh, this is going to be an interesting one. So recently, Overwatch announced that the rework for the anticipated tank Roadhog is here, and well, that same rework is here. And with that, I actually want to pop these notes out right here, so I'll read the major beats. But for now, I will just get this going. So as you see here, we have the patch notes up. The developer comments, as you can read, the broad goal is to improve the frontline presence and reduce frustration with the low... Wait. Yeah, the hook is just a problem. So the major change is that the secondary functionality of his weapon was entirely removed. Increased damage, reduced pellet count, and increased damage of pellets by a small bit, and added a shrapnel volley. So I don't have any gameplay functionality because at the time of recording this, I couldn't get in to do gameplay footage. But basically, his now standard shot will now have 4 centered-ish projectiles in a small triangle shape that will shoot out. They do considerable damage. That's it. The Take a Breather perk has now been changed. It's the secondary. It now takes the right-click position on the mouse where the fire was recently held. And instead, it is a resource base, just like one of the healers of the class, one of the heroes in the game. This was an interesting development in my opinion, because now his healing is a resource, but it's slightly more powerful. It's a concerning development, but honestly, it makes it a more viable healing option, as it didn't do much in the first place unless you were just actually good at the game. I was not, that's why I say that. They have also enabled the toggle. Oh boy. He also has received a new ability, which takes the spot of where Take a Breather used to be, which is basically a dollar store Junkrat trap. I know what I said. The reason I call it a dollar store Junkrat trap because it can trap people, but instead of actually immobilizing them entirely, it slows them down and does damage. So that you can hit a total of roughly 150 damage. The problem is, you see, I have seen clips already where the new one-shot, place the trap, hit a hook, bring him in, the trap will now damage him, hit him with the shotgun, and if the trap or the shotgun doesn't kill him, then you go for the melee. Either way, this is the new one-shot. Problem? Yeah, it's going to be a problem against most DPS and support. I don't think it's enough to shift the current meta status of the game, but it is definitely one of the interesting changes. And as the interviews will have it here in a bit, we did predict what was going to happen with this, or at least we had a small bit of intel. this was the more interesting piece of Overwatch for the patch. Otherwise, it just fixed some minor issues, such as minor bugs with Lifeweaver, as they called it, or Sombra, who's just broken apparently. But that's all that's all the Overwatch section has released for this important part. Now, that's pretty much all I have for the Overwatch segment, which I think it might be viable to use Roadhog again, but in my opinion, yeah, that's it. And from here, I have 2 interviews, the only interviews I was able to get done. And editor, please take those from here.
Alright, I'm ready when you are.
Yep. Okay, so this first interview is with Bradley, aka Dampish Penny. Now, he is a representative because, for further context, these interviews will be done from the Tarleton State University esports team. And Bradley, tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm a 5-time master player for Overwatch 2. I'm the team captain for A-Team for Tarleton State Esports.
Nice. What's your experience with the game prior to coming to the university and joining esports?
Well, so let's start with the esports part of it. I've been always really interested in gaming since I was little. Started off with Pokemon Black and White. And I entered a tournament in there. I didn't do too well, but it's alright. And then I found Overwatch in 2017. I liked the abilities, the characters, and all that. And
Yeah.
then I entered a tournament in 2018, and I won a state championship as a supporter, which
Nice.
is I played Lucio and Ana. I miss my I miss my teammates. It's when you play with them for quite a bit, you get that connection. I hope
Yeah,
they're
I
doing
get
well
that.
though.
Nice.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. So recently, Overwatch 2 did a patch update where they reworked the DPS character known as Sombra, and they also had a collab event with the K-pop group Les Seraphim. What are your thoughts on this update as a whole?
Um, I'm gonna start with the collab first. The collab was really fun. The game mode's fun also. I think Overwatch is doing a good job trying to get their name out there since they, don't have a good reputation right now for, just
Well,
in general. They don't have a good reputation.
well, that's more or less the company problem than the game, but the
Yeah.
game is going there.
But the game, I have no problem with the game. But yeah, the summer rework was kind of interesting though, because when you think of a rework, it's the whole character, not just adding an ability.
Which that leads us into the Roadhog rework, which at the time of recording this interview and scripting the episode, that's coming tomorrow. They're announcing it.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting one.
I've already seen some of it, a little bit of it. It's very interesting. Spoiler alert, I'm just gonna say this now. Roadhog would not have a right click. That is the thing that I am shocked about.
I wonder why that's the choice we're moving for.
My opinion is that they're probably just trying to get shotguns to be close range and not, 10 feet away.
Well, part of Roadhog's thing was if you missed a hook, the right click would shoot far out to make up for that damage because, well, they said they're not going to fix the hook, but they're taking away the one thing that made him any bit usable against the current meta.
Oh, yeah, that is true, but also there is a skill cap. If
That
you
is
could
also
hit your
true.
hook, is like if you can hit your hooks, then you shouldn't have any problem with killing them when you hook them.
Yeah.
And the right click was just you right click and you all of a sudden just got a random kill, and there was no like overall skill on it unless you're like accurate with it.
Oh yeah, no, I got
Um,
that one because I played a bit of Roadhog back when the game was fresh into Overwatch 2's lifetime, and he was a bit broken.
oh yeah, and General Roadhog has always been one of those characters. The game is fun when Roadhog is not like you can't use him, but when he's fun, the game just doesn't feel right.
Interesting. All right, here's the controversial question about the game that I have prepared. In
Okay.
Overwatch 2, the support character known as Kiriko has an ability that can, quote, cleanse of other abilities. 90% of the abilities this includes are enemy ultimates, not limited to the Earth Shatter, the Sunrise, and somehow a Tire, which should be an insta-kill. How do you feel about this broken ability?
Well, I wouldn't say it's entirely broken, but if you're going against a good Kiriko, it's just you're not going to have a game. It's you're not going to have any fun. But like the ability in general, it was a good idea, but they keep adding more in characters that have stuns, slows, hacks. Like if you're going to keep adding those characters, don't bring a character that can cleanse. It ruins the game.
I mean,
It's
they try to
it's
combat it
whatever.
with the small 2 extra seconds of a cooldown, but
That the thing is, even
it
with
did
that two
nothing.
seconds, it doesn't do anything. It's they either need to do, you know, it's kind of almost I don't know. It's just it needs, in my opinion, it needs to be reworked because something like that shouldn't be in the game since this game is actually based on slows, stuns, just in general ability wise. If a character can get rid of almost 100% of the abilities on the field, what are you playing? You're just playing TFT two. Actually, like you're not playing.
Yeah, you're playing an unfortunate game. So, one more important question: how how's your experience on an esports team, like as a whole, like as a player, as a captain? How do you feel about esports in general and it playing the game?
Oh, I'm very happy. Honestly, I've had a great time. Especially being as a team captain. I'm one of those people who likes to teach. Um, so like if you ever want to reach out to me, my Discord, like we at the beginning, Stampish Penny. Um, I like to teach people, and being a captain lets me teach. So it's fun,
Interesting.
I'll say.
How do you feel about the recent season you just completed and this upcoming season?
The recent season, it's all right. I mean,
Well,
it was okay.
from what my notes have, it's your first season, so it's kind of from what I see, it's a test the waters, and you got to see what the potential is.
Yeah.
And
Um, it it was different, I would say, since when you view esports by watching, you think, oh, there's not that much into it, but then you actually play the esports, and it's just, oh no.
interesting.
Um, but it was good. It was fun. It was a little weird though, because after playing competitive, just only competitive, and you start getting the collegiate games and just esports in general, it's a different meta. It's the game's different entirely.
Hmm, interesting. How do you feel about next season going into it now that you've learned from this first season's mistakes and accidents, to put it lightly?
Um, I know what I need to look for on a team. Honestly, I know what I need to do next season. There are some mistakes on my part also. So
No,
like,
everyone's got their mistakes, and I believe you should own them. But
oh
no,
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like I'm owning my mistakes. I mean,
that's good.
one of my mistakes with practice is like we just we weren't really actually practicing. We were just playing. So I feel like I'm gonna be taking it to the next level next season, and it's gonna be a different game for Tarleton Esports for a whole.
All right, that's all the questions I got. Is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Um, Not really, but bleed purple.
Hell yeah. That's all the time I got for this first interview. So, next up, we're going to be interviewing another Overwatch representative. Until then, the editor will take it away from here. Second up on this interview is Steven, aka Fried Rice. Steven, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
No worries, man. All right, so I've got a set of questions I'm to ask you. You can answer as best as you can, and that's all I got to say. Do you have anything you'd like to say about yourself first?
I've been playing Overwatch ever since it came out. I'm a master support player. I mostly play Lifeweaver and Lucio, but
Huh,
I'm pretty flexible on all the support characters.
hell yeah. All right. So first off, um, what is your experience with Overwatch before you got into esports?
I did play on a team before. It
All right.
wasn't it wasn't a collegiate team, but it was more just a team that went out and competed.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I did have experience with like that level of competitive Overwatch, but other than that, I mostly just played ranked by myself and always played quick play with friends and all
Hmm.
that.
So you
That's
enjoyed
how I got. Yeah, I
you,
enjoyed it a lot.
you enjoyed suffering playing solo comp.
Yeah, I was on that golden gun grind, man.
Oh yeah, I know it. I've seen it myself. I've seen the collection. All right, so first things up, this was established in the previous two interviews. This interview is done with a associate who plays Overwatch on the collegiate team at Tarleton State University, so that's where all the interviews will be done for the record. And okay, so here's the first thing I have to ask you. When it comes to the game, how do you feel about some recent events? Because recently in Overwatch, they did a rework of the DPS character known as Sombra, and they did a collab with K-pop group Les Seraphim. What are your opinions on that and this recent update?
So the Sombra rework, I think it was actually a pretty good rework. I think Sombra overall is more balanced. Like she's more annoying, like which is how she's supposed to be. Like originally she had the translocator rework is actually my thing that I like the most because she can't just like she can't just shoot you for like 2 seconds and then run away and then repeat the process. You actually have to like play with a level of skill.
So you're saying this creates a sort of skill gap.
Yes, because most Sombra players back then would put their translocator down on a health pack and then just try to hit one person. They get scared. They immediately TP back to the health pack and they try again.
Hmm.
Honestly, I think the update makes Sombra more viable because especially with the virus inclusion, I mean, she can be a absolutely killer to the squishies and like supports. Like you have to
Yeah.
actually pay attention to her now.
All right. So then on supports, recently another thing. This is a controversial take, and we asked Bradley this. In Overwatch 2, there's a support character that is known as Kiriko. She is considered broken as she has this ability to cleanse, which can cleanse up to 90% of the enemy abilities, such as the tank class, ultimate abilities such as Shatter and Wasteland. DPS, it can break anything to a tire, EMP, and on support, it can even break the most broken former support ability, Sunrise. What is your opinion on this character and this slightly overpowered ability?
Yeah, so Kiriko right now is in the meta right now. Like in the meta we have like your set tanks like Orisa, right? And
The
then in
horse.
support, and yeah, the horse. And then in support it's Kiriko. Like usually in most pro level play, especially right now, Kiriko is like always up in there. And for the people who say that her Suzu should be reduced, I disagree completely. In fact, her Suzu should be like her cooldown should be upped even higher because if one ability can save the entire team from a tire or like any ult, that there is something wrong in the equation there. At least in my opinion. I mean, it's crazy how good Suzu can be
A,
when played correctly.
a point made was if you're adding new characters with new abilities, but they can still easily be cleansed by this Suzu ability, what is the point of this new ability if it can easily just be outdone?
And I 100% agree. Like Alari ult, for example, her ult can be rendered essentially useless, like because of Suzu. Like if you don't have a Kiriko on your team when you get Alari ult, I mean that's just that could be a team wipe.
It exactly. So I spent several hours the other day testing this, and I've confirmed that this ability will cleanse almost every ult, with few exceptions, such as, well, the ones that aren't directly effective, such as a Diva Bomb or a Sojourn Overclock, or just other ults that are practically non-harming
Actually,
to the enemy team.
Suzu
And
can block Diva Bomb as well.
oh, that failed my testing. Because in testing, we ran several tries with every ultimate, and each one for the Diva Bomb, I guess we just didn't have good timing because each time it resulted in a kill.
Yeah, timing is everything when it comes to Suzu, especially when you're trying to prevent shatter, like not shatter, tire
Tire.
and
Yeah,
bomb.
Tire is the one we got the timing down perfectly on, but no, yeah, this is a very good point. So, how do you feel about the Le Seraphim crossover between the skins and the limited time mode introduced with it?
I personally I love it. I mean, I'm South Korean. I like seeing like some of my new culture being implemented into the games. But I mean,
It's a very nice thing to have, honestly.
yeah, I mean, it does worry me because like when it comes to games like Fortnite, right, who are doing all these collabs, I don't really like that part because it's just money, 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 and I feel like when you get to that part, you're like focusing less on like the actual quality of life of the game, and you're just focusing more on profit. But I mean, that's just my opinion. I
Yeah.
mean,
The way I looked at it with Overwatch was it looked as there were 5 characters introduced in this collab, and it's $10 almost for each individual, or 50 for the collective. So, and from what my records show, Overwatch has done little to no collabs, so this is probably a huge one for them. So, would you say this is a better collab in your opinion?
no, I would, because this is gonna make money for them. They haven't really done any collabs besides like when they're collabing like their own games,
Well,
so like
and the one
Diablo
and One Punch, but
and
that
One Punch.
that was an exception.
And I thought that was fun. Like when they do collabs well. Then they bring in good skins and good game modes. So I do get excited when Overwatch does collabs. So
Right.
I thought this was a very good collab, in my
Uh,
opinion at least.
At the time of this interview and scripting this next week in gaming's video, the Roadhog rework will be discussed tomorrow. How do you feel about that?
Roadhog, I am glad he's getting a rework. I used to play a lot of Roadhog, and the fact that they nerfed him to where he couldn't even one shot a tracer was like very concerning to me because now you can't even play Roadhog unless you're like essentially just being like throwing.
So,
Like,
in the previous interview, Bradley had mentioned he knew of what the rework would be, and supposedly his right click for his gun, which shoots the long range spread shot, will be essentially removed.
okay. So like the shotgun aspect is being removed?
So it'll still be a shotgun, but the right click being the longer range bullet is what's being removed.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm thinking in controller controller bindings. All right, I get you. I get you.
Yeah, no, so in controller bindings, it's left
Left
trigger.
click. Yeah, yeah, okay. I got yeah, I got you. I got you. I
So
understand.
how do you feel about this potentially being the truth? Because they did say his gun's primary fire was part of the target for this rework.
If they're removing his left click, they have to do something. Sorry, his right click. They have to do something significant about the right click because honestly, right now, what hog players are doing, what I've been doing at least when I have attempted to play hog, is I've been trying to left click headshot, and that's been what's been doing a lot of damage.
I rem-
So
so I remember playing back when the game was fresh and Kiriko was this is the new hero, and I played Roadhog during that time back when he was still considered broken, but he still took a lot of skill to actually maintain, whether it being his shotgun, the very large skill cap on his hook, or even the whole hog as an ability.
Oh my
Mhm.
god. Is he cheating?
what about it?
Oh my god.
My bit about it is that it took a lot of skill to actually be able to successfully use, and now it's just, even if you're the best with hog, you still can't even play him properly.
Exactly. Right now, hog is really only viable on
I have to go to
like 2 or
I
3
have to go
maps.
to
And that's only the maps where you can throw other people off, essentially.
Exactly. So well, but even then, with Orisa being the meta, he's not even viable there.
Because all it takes is fortify, and guess what? You
Mhm.
lose.
Because right now, the characters in the meta right now are like Orisa, Zarya, and Diva. Diva can fly out, and Orisa is just you can't hook her. But I mean, you can hook Zarya, but then again, Zarya can just bubble. Hog is
It's
just dog water right now.
yeah, as you and Bradley both say, if you're playing hog, you're more or less throwing, especially in the competitive ranks.
Like if you can play Hog, like even if you can play Hog well, he has a little viability. But even if you can play Hog well, he can't compare. He can't compete with the other
No, he
tanks,
can't. He really can't.
which sucks because I used to main Hog. I have his golden gun and everything, and
I
it's just sitting there.
Yeah, no, I definitely played back in my day as a hog, but now it's just unplayable. So,
Yeah.
all right, since this is the part where we go to the Tarleton State esports aspect. Recently, as we have it on record, you are the B team captain and you have just wrapped up your regulation season. How do you feel about that?
It was quite a season. I mean, I'm very proud of my team for making playoffs. We have shown so much improvement since our first game.
Yeah.
Like our first game, we were like running around trying to figure out how to play as a team, little to no communication, and as we progressed, we started practicing more, we started communicating more, and I'm just very proud of my team for putting in the work.
Yep. And honestly, it's good both sides because from what Bradley and I had agreed upon, this is a testing the waters kind of season, so you can learn from mistakes, accidents, and sometimes it falls on to every member of a team and they have to own it up. Would you say you or the team had the mistakes, or would you say both?
Um, it's a hard question. I would say both, but I would lean more to my team side, just because. Not saying that I'm perfect, because I definitely wasn't perfect. I made some bad calls. I've had a lot of bad ults,
Oh
but
no, no,
overall,
that's reasonable. No, like everyone has some mistakes, but it's important to recognize any if you have them.
yeah. But overall, I would say it was more on my team side because there's just some games where my team just would not listen to positioning, and there's just sometimes where my DPS could not keep up to
Oh
be
no,
to be
oh no,
right.
I understand that from records that I have and games I've witnessed myself. Sometimes playing DPS is just not a fun day because if you don't know what you're doing, you can get easily picked off, and guess what? You lose a team fight, and that's the entire game in the balance.
And that's the thing about Overwatch 2. Back when there was two tanks, one pick, it was you could still survive, right? But in the new way that they're playing it on the five-person team, one pick is absolutely devastating. That could just be the instant win on the team fight.
Hence
It's always
the
about that first pick.
hence the quote: "Any pick is a good pick, especially if it's a powerful one."
Exactly, especially if it's a support or anything, because that instantly just puts the pressure on
On
the team.
exactly. All right, and lastly, we got some personality questions to see what kind of player you are. We're gonna ask if you could have anything in Overwatch and anything in front of you as a gift to see if you could have anything, any change in Overwatch, and they had to do it. What change would you make to the game?
Honestly, right now, I think I would want them to change back Lifeweaver back to the way he was.
I,
This nerf is
th-
absolutely
I
devastating
did,
to Lifeweaver players.
yeah, I did hear, and I think I did cover in last week or in this week's script. The mid-season patch did destroy most of the support class, and sad thing is, even the most overpowered one is still technically standing strong because a 2-second cooldown on a Suzu is not enough, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, I still believe that Lifeweaver was relatively balanced. I don't see why they had to nerf him the
I mean,
way he did.
I've seen some good Life Weaver numbers recently. I will gladly share those if you have to ask it, but I've definitely seen some good Life Weaver numbers.
I mean, I thought Lifeweaver was balanced. Like the life grip, I agree with. I'm not happy with it, but his life grip was good. It was a little too good to where for what his cooldown was. But I mean, it doesn't mean I have to be happy about it.
No. All right, and the last personality question: if you could have anything in front of you right now as a gift, what would you take and why?
Just like in Overwatch terms, or just like in general,
Like
like just a
in
gift.
general, like say, okay, say like you could ask for something for like say from the family. What would you
Oh,
want? Like what would you want from anyone just to have in front of you like that you could use like for example someone else said that they'd want a new quality of microphone, so what is your
oh,
gift?
honestly, right now, bro, my keyboard kind of sucks. I would love a new keyboard and mouse, just like a professional one. I got like this generic one from Walmart, so I'd love a new keyboard.
All right, that is all the questions I have. Do you have any questions for me before I cut this off?
No, just thanks for inviting me on the show. Love talking about Overwatch. So
Yeah, no worries.
anytime you need me
You
back,
will
anytime you need me back, I got you.
I guarantee you in future episodes we will come back to this. But thank you for your time, Steven, and with that, editor, take us back to the main show from here, and again, thank you for your time. Well, thank you to those two fine gentlemen for their time and for agreeing to these interviews. That's all the time I'm going to give Overwatch before the Overwatch playoffs begin for those two fine people. Oh my god, I'm tired of this game. I'm tired of Overwatch. I really am. Next up is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. This one is huge, because a couple days ago, before scripting this, they revealed the next season, codenamed Operation Deep Freeze. And now, I'm going to hit the major beats with this one, but I was going to have an interview, which would have been the majority of this segment. It would have been very good to hear this interview, but unfortunately, time did not permit. Sad. Now, unless my editor is a godsend and just so happened to somehow get one and then get it in here. No? None? Okay. With that, we are now going to tab into the update in the patch. The new Defender operator is revealed, as I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this. The major beats that he can carry either the MPX, the AR-1550, with the P22-6 pistol, and standard equipment for Defender, and moderate stats. His ability, I'm concerned about it, because this might be a little broken in my opinion, but it can stop some easy breaches, and honestly, here's how I can see it. Say it's a late match, or it's like it's point and both teams are going for it. If this Defender lays this new ability, like, he could potentially destroy some of the rotations on maps, and guess what that's going to do? That's going to potentially screw somebody up, and knowing how important rotations are for Defenders, it's more a self-destructive thing, but it's also like a last stand mechanic as I can see it. I don't have any footage, and I'm not going to go over the official footage here, but we've also got a new ranked mode map as Lair. Of course, I have not been able to get footage, but I am interested to see how it is because I do play a fair bit of Siege ranked, and as I'm going to check out later today, I'm going to check out some of the ranked footage as we will see. But next week, I will come back with my first impressions of the season because I will actually get into play that later today. Here's one I've been waiting on forever, the Reputation update. The reason I say this is because the current reputation system is, in my opinion, broken, but now we are entering a new phase with a so-called grace period. As it states here, this will have information about a player's standing and updated sections to provide details about like why people are in the low reputation. I'm grateful because it can tell those toxic or cheaters that, hey, you're doing something wrong. You know what that means? You fix it normally. But for now, these updates, like it says, you get one chance for them to play nice. Besides this, we've had some, it's just the basic balancing. Apparently it's, oh dear. Who said? Rainbow Six Siege was founded to be a sort of realistic sense of a game, and they just removed one of the most realistic things ever. Cooking a grenade. Well, this is going to go horrible. This is my favorite one because this is a couple days ago, but they're now doing a marketplace beta, which I'm concerned because it's not like Counter-Strike or other games that have the marketplace, and I'm wondering how this will play out in game. But it's not going to actually appear till 24, so until then, I'm signing up for the beta. But this is going to be the most interesting thing I've seen come out of Rainbow Six Siege. And yeah, they're announced a bot play playlist and map training and some quality of life. Besides the standard balancing. Unfortunately, that is all the time I'm going to give Siege for this segment. So with that, we're going to move on to the next segment. Unfortunately, Rocket League was extremely quiet this week in the news, and we could not get the interview for the segment. We might return with more news or an interview, so we will come back in a week from now. Apologies to anyone who missed out this segment, but the only thing I have is from last week. And, oh boy. This is my favorite category we're about to go into because, oh god, how do I say this? Well, I love MOBAs. I really do. League of Legends. You guys are eating good this week. Between the League of Legends Worlds competition, which is the finals is approaching on the 19th. Get ready for that. Check out all your major streaming services for dates and time. Netflix. You know, I'm just gonna show this tweet. See what the problem is? Arcane. It's back. November 2024, Arcane Season 2 is going to release. If you don't, for those of you who don't know, Arcane is a League of Legends based show on Netflix, which I couldn't even tell you when it released. I didn't even watch it until a couple weeks ago, but it's one of the highest rated shows out there, like entirely across all genres. The only thing we know is that sometime within November 24, the show will launch. The trailer, which appeared on Twitter several days ago, has got everyone ready and hyped up. I'm getting goosebumps in anticipation for it. And no, I cannot score an interview for League of Legends this week, but the news is pretty hype for this one. Moving on to the last MOBA before I go into a new segment I'm considering, Smite. Last week I said the new season would barely be out in time for this video, and I was correct. But what we did get was good enough. The new character skins that were announced with the season, they're definitely there. There's a variety of skins across all the different gods in Smite, which I barely play. Hell, I'm still being dragged behind, forced to play myself. But yeah, no, that's the only the major thing that I got is probably the patches. As I spent a couple hours reading the patches for all these games, and Smite was the least interesting because it was minor changes, and there was more buffs than nerfs, but they're still minor, so there's nothing I got. The interview was supposed to be big for this one, but unfortunately, we cannot score that one. Thank you again to anyone who did appear, and with that, good luck to the teams, because I know there's more than just Overwatch, but I can't confirm or deny details. And finally, before I close off, I'm probably considering a new segment. But problem is, it's requiring a lot of planning, but long story short, it's going to be more local based. This is purely hypothetical because the show and the details of the segment are both extremely fresh. There's a lot of work to be done, but for now, I will work on getting everything in place. The reason I say this, I just have a lot. Now with that, remember everyone, stay frosty and may all your games be good. Be good people.